Well, the announcement of Tyson closing a packing plant in Nebraska sent shockwaves through the cattle industry over the weekend. Tyson will shut down its Lexington, Nebraska facility and turn its Amarillo, Texas plant into a single full capacity shift. The move comes as the U.S. beef supply dwindles and just weeks after President Trump called for an investigation into meat packers. And joining us now is market specialist Tony St. James. We appreciate him, Scott Shellady, and StoneX economist Alan Suderman. Tony, let's start with you, giving kind of a wide outlook of what we know now.
Okay, so what we do know now is this is the first major closure of a beef packing plant since 2013. Yeah, we've had some changes along the way, but that one in 2013 really shook the industry because that one in Plainview, Texas was shut down because of tight cattle numbers, drought, and looking for profitability. And I think there are some comparisons we can make to the two. You know, we've got Scott with us, and we've also got Arlen Suderman. And Scott, let's jump to you first. Thoughts here on this announcement, which we've been talking about the possibility of this happening for months.
Yeah, it was leaked pretty well. The memos of understanding and all the paperwork that went along with it. It's been leaked, and and I went back and did a little homework. And in 2008, we had Tyson shut one down in Emporia, Kansas. Again, you mentioned the 2013 closure. That was a Cargill plant. And then 2014, we had National shut down one as well. So this is not anything new. It does happen. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, I'm a nuts and bolts person. If you're going to save $500 million a year over 4 years, that's $2 billion. I totally understand why they did it. So I think that we can't be shocked that it happened. It's just a sign of the times. And the market will be able to absorb it. We also had the cattle on feed report, which was I would have said pretty bullish. We looked at the screens earlier today, and it looks so we might open up a little bit lower. We'll see. But it's kind of a double negative whammy. You're going to have to take the cattle further away to get them done. And at the same time, you might see prices rise at the retail center, counter. So those are probably the negatives I would take a look at. But the cattle on feed was newsworthy as well, and we'll get through it. But this is something that's happened before.
Yeah, Arlen, that cattle on feed report showing us that Nebraska now has overtaken Texas as the top beef producing state. Does this come as any surprise, this closure, and how do we put it into perspective?
Yeah, not really a surprise with the Mexican border being closed, so cattle coming north for now because of the New World screwworm. So therefore, Texas is losing a lot of capacity there. This is a blow to the Lexington, Nebraska economy as well as to Amarillo, certainly, but not a surprise overall. It's ironic that President Trump's talking about investigating the packing industry for price fixing when we've had very poor margins for packing in the cattle industry now for 2 years. And with numbers at 74-year lows of cattle inventory, something had to give in the packing industry. And so if you look at the packing capacity in Nebraska was probably the largest of any feeding state. So it makes sense that that's where we would lose a plant. This plant in particular was a converted farm equipment manufacturing plant, didn't quite have the efficiencies of some of the other plants. So that made sense that this, from Tyson's standpoint, that this would be the one. If you look at the two plants between Lexington and going from 2 shifts to 1 shift in Amarillo, that means we're losing about 7 to 8% of our packing capacity. Now, we've still got enough to recover from that or to cover that, especially in Nebraska. That means other plants will be going from about 80% capacity up to 90% capacity, which is adequate until or unless one of those plants has a problem, or several years down the road when we rebuild the breeding herd and we're back to higher numbers again, that's where we're going to have the problems.
Scott, let's get back to the basics here. What does this mean for the folks out there raising cattle?
Well, I mean, we'll absorb it. There'll be some operational issues in the beginning, but they'll have to change how they do things a little bit. And I think that it could maybe in the short term mean lower prices for some of the ranchers, but maybe a little bit higher prices in the short term for retail. But we'll get through it. The one thing I wanted to throw on top of this, and Arlen, I don't know if you've heard about this yet, but I was kind of digging around doing some research for this story that I knew we were going to talk about this morning. And I'm sure you're aware of commodity ingredients hedging, all right, at CIH. I don't know. This isn't widely held. Did you hear about this on Friday?
I
But
did
Tokyo
not.
Marine, which is a big insurer out of Tokyo, Tokyo Marine is a big insurer out of Tokyo, based in Tokyo. They have an office here in Houston, but they purchased commodity ingredient hedging for $1 billion on Friday afternoon. Now, we have a lot of people on this show because CIH also bought Advanced Trading earlier this year in March. So Advanced Trading is part of CIH. So we just had an outside buyer want to pour $1 billion into our industry. It's 970. It sounds better when I say $1 billion. But $970 million into this industry right now, which I think is incredibly good for this for the industry, because they must see something and they're not going to waste that money to get involved. So as negative as the beef news is, I wanted to throw the good news in out there, because that kind of got me excited when I slowly but surely uncovered that. So CAH is purchased on Friday for $970 million, $30 million shy of $1 billion from Tokyo Marine, a big insurer out of Tokyo, that they believe that this industry is looking good and wanted to get involved here in the U.S. I think that's fantastic news. So just a little good news to throw on top of the Tyson bad news. That's all I'm doing.
Well, we're already hearing from lawmakers like Nebraska Senator Deb Fischer warning the closure will strain rural economies. You guys feel that that's a real possibility? Let's start with you, Alan.
Well, it certainly for Lexington's economy. I mean, the packing plant there is a huge part of their economy, so that's going to directly be a problem for them. As far as the producers of these cattle, it's a little further they'll be hauling. It removes some of the competitiveness, because we had overcapacity in Nebraska fighting over the existing supply of cattle. So therefore we bid the cattle higher, and we won't get that higher bid probably now. So it's going to be a strain there. For Nebraska as a whole, it's not much of a difference. For Lexington, it's a big difference, and I'd say the same thing for the Amarillo area.
We sure do appreciate your time this morning. Arlen Suderman, Scott Shellady, Tony St. James with us this morning. We appreciate all of you.